Now, the positioning of the parts of the phrases. As shown above, by reason of the necessary relationship between two sentences joined by a conjunction, the conjunction and, at the beginning of, Behold, your Lord and Sustainer said to the angels, I will create a vicegerent on earth, implies an unstated sentence. An implied sentence is similarly required before the verse. Behold, your Lord said to the angels, I am about to create man from sounding clay. Also, since, by its very nature, revelation summons attention and calls to mind, the conjunction and implies and recall to them that when your Lord, the particle then denotes past time and so sends the minds of listeners down the rungs of the past that raises the veil and attracts to the present its events so they may behold them and gather them up. The words, your Lord and Sustainer, is a proof for the angels, that is, the one who has raised and perfected you, Muhammad, and made you the guide of humankind that you might put a stop to their corruption. That is, you are the supreme good deed of mankind that preponderates over all its iniquities and covers its faults. To the angels, through their conversation in the form of consultation, this indicates that the dwellers of the heavens, that is, the angels, have very many relations and connections with the dwellers of the earth, that is, humankind. For some of them are charged with overseeing human beings, some are guardian angels, some are recording angels, so they have to concern themselves with their affairs. Since it is the nature of the intensifying particle, inna, to repose thoughts, here expressed by the angel's question, will you place? It indicates the immense importance of the question. The use of the first person pronominal suffix, I, of, inni, although the first person plural is used in, we said, in the following verses, indicates that there are no intermediaries in his creation and giving of existence as there are in his speech and address. These 5 points are illustrated also in the verse, we have sent down to you the book in truth, that you might judge between men in accordance with what Allah has taught you. Here, the first person plural in we have sent down indicates the existence of an intermediary in the sending down of revelation and infers its splendor. That is, it indicates the angels of revelation who manifest the splendor of the one who sends them, while the third person singular in accordance with what Allah has taught you, indicates that there are no intermediaries in the inspiration of meanings. The choice of place rather than create indicates that what causes the doubts and questioning is mankind being placed on the earth and appointed to cultivate it, not man's creation and being given existence. For existence is pure good and creation is an essential act of Allah and as such cannot be questioned. And the choice of in, fi, in the phrase, in the earth, rather than on, despite mankind being on the earth, intimates that humankind resembles the spirit breath into the earth, and if it ever quits the earth will fall apart and expire. Wise grants suggest that before conditions on the earth were readied for human life, there were intelligent creatures for whose lives conditions during the earth's early epochs were suitable. This view is in conformity with the questions of science, Qadiyya al-Hikmah. The most widely held view is that these creatures were a species of jinn, but they spread corruption on the earth, so were succeeded by mankind. The parts of the sentence, they said, will you place therein one who will make mischief therein and shed blood? Consider this. They said, being apparently unconnected to what precedes it, suggests that the Most High's turning to And addressing the angels drives the listener to ask, what will the angels' attitude be towards their neighbors, seeing that their houses are side by side? Will they be happy to have them as fellows? What is their opinion of them? So the Qur'an says, they said, will you place therein? This last phrase, they said, will you place, is the consequence of the conditional particle iza in the phrase, behold, your Lord said. But the necessary consequence is unstated, implying the words, Allah the Most High ruled that man should be made vicegerent of the earth, which was under the supervision of the angels, although he was in no need of officers or ministers. This meant that the angels had to declare how they would meet human beings. The speech in these two phrases is a conversation in the form of consultation, and its purpose is to teach this to the people, for the Most High is far above any need of them. The angels asked, will you place therein, in order to learn the reason, for the Most High had informed them about it, but had withheld the reason. This was the cause of their surprise, and it led to their question. That is, their asking, what is the wisdom in man being placed on the earth? Thus, they wanted to learn the result or effect rather than the cause, not to deny or object to it, for they are without sin. And the placing of mankind on the earth hints that man's characteristics and theoretical origins and descent and circumstances are not the imperatives of nature, but have all been placed by one who places. The repetition of in it, despite their proximity, is for clarity and implies what is the reason for placing mankind on the earth as a spirit breath into the earth's body to quicken it, when on the other hand man will be the cause of its corruption and death. The use of the relative pronoun one who indicates that rather than the human character, it is the rebellion of creatures against the Most High that troubles the angels. And the use of cause corruption rather than rebel indicates that rebellion eventually spoils the order of the world. And the use of the imperfect tense indicates that what is detestable about it is its constant repetition. The angels had knowledge of this either through the Most High informing them, or through studying the preserved tablet, or because they had knowledge of human nature and the unrestricted powers lodged in it. Corruption is caused through the unrestrained use of the power of animal appetites, while bloodshed and tyranny result from the aggression of the power of anger. Therein, that is, they cause corruption in the earth, despite it being a mask founded on consciousness of Allah and fear of Him. The conjunction "and" joins two despicable acts causing corruption and shedding blood, for corruption leads to the spilling of blood. And the choice of shed blood rather than kill is because to shed blood is to kill unjustly. And murder is not jihad in Allah's way. Also, the just killing of one person for the good of the community is like killing a wolf to save the flock. The use of the word blood with shed blood is to emphasize the repugnance of murder. The positioning of the parts of the phrase, whilst we do celebrate your praises and glorify your holy name. The circumstantial conjunction "and" indicates that the angels were aware that they would meet with such a counter-objection as, aren't mankind's worship and hallowing of the Most High sufficient wisdom in your view for human beings being placed on the earth? We, nahnu, that is, the whole host of angels untainted by sin. And this being a nominal sentence infers that glorification of Allah is a part of their very natures and intrinsic to them and necessitated by their natures. We do celebrate your praises is a very comprehensive phrase. We proclaim you in the universe through all the varieties of worship. We believe that with your glorious attributes you are far above anything unworthy of your Godhead, your glorious attributes that are the source of your praiseworthy bounties. We declare, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, that is, we laud and extol you with your attributes of glory and beauty. And whilst we do celebrate your praises and glorify your holy name, that is, we hallow you, or we purify ourselves and our action from sins and our hearts of desire for anything other than you. And contrarily to the previous conjunction joining the two vices of corruption and spilling blood, the conjunction and here joins the two virtues of compliance with the divine commands and avoidance of things prescribed. Now, the parts of the phrase, he said, I know what you know not. The apparent unconnectedness of this phrase implies the unstated questions. What did Allah the Most High say in reply to their questioning? How did His explanation of the reason for mankind's creation dispel their astonishment? What is the wisdom in human beings' preference to them? So it says, he said, alluding to its brief reply and to the detailed explanation in the following verse. The inna of inni a'lamu, I know, is confirmative and rebuts doubts and hesitation. It is used only in speculative matters, not in consistable ones, whereas the Most High self-evidently and indisputably knows what creatures do not know, and God forbid, the angels have no doubts concerning this. In which case, the inna throws light on a sequence of unstated phrases which, conformably with the well-trodden path of rhetoric, the Qur'an summarizes succinctly. That is, there is much good and many advantages in mankind, and there is sinfulness, but this is minor. It would be opposed to wisdom to abandon the former due to the latter. Humanity also holds a mystery and disqualifies man for the wise currency. The angels were heedless of it, but man's creator had knowledge of it. There is also an instance of wisdom in the creation of human beings that renders them superior to the angels. The angels did not know this, but the one who created it did. The inna's confirmatory meaning may also refer to a statement implied by any of the sentence's words, rather than to one specific word. Here, it looks to a phrase implied by, you know not, that is, you have no certain knowledge of it. Also, I know what you know not is by way of mentioning something necessary and willing its natural consequence. That is, something exists that you have no knowledge of. For the Most High's knowledge is necessary for everything. The absence of His knowledge indicates the non-existence of the thing known. As the Most High says, is it that you will inform Him of something He knows not on the earth? That is, it is not possible for something unknown by Allah to exist. And the existence of knowledge is evidence for the existence of the thing known. In another place, the Qur'an verifies and confirms this succinct reply, saying, Allah is indeed all-knowing, all-wise. His actions lack nothing as regards wisdom and benefit. Hence, beings are not restricted to knowledge of creatures, and the absence of knowledge does not indicate their non-existence. When Allah the Most High created pure good, that is, the angels, and pure evil, that is, the devils, and that which was neither good nor evil, that is, the animals, being the beneficent bestower of bounties, His wisdom necessitated the existence of a fourth category that embraced both good and evil, that is, human beings. Thus, if the human powers of anger and animal appetites submit to the power of intellect, through effort and striving man rises higher than the angels. But if the reverse is the case, he falls lower than the beasts, for he has no excuse. Verses 31 to 33. وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم أردهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم قال يا آدم أنبئهم بأسمائهم فلما أنبأهم بأسمائهم قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. And he taught Adam the names of all things. Then he presented them to the angels and said, Declare unto me the names of these things, if what you say is true. They replied, Limitless, you are in your glory. No knowledge have we save that which you have taught us. Verily, you alone are all-knowing, truly wise. Said he, O Adam, convey unto them the names of these things. And as soon as Adam had conveyed unto them their names, Allah said, Did I not say unto you, Verily, I alone know the hidden reality of the heavens and the earth, and know all that you bring into the open, and all that you would conceal. An introduction. Consider this. This miracle of Adam, the teaching of the names, challenged the angels and their doubts. Indeed, it was a miracle of mankind related to the question of the vicegerency. There are many lessons to be learned from the story. Bearing in mind the verse, nor anything fresh or dry, but is inscribed in a record clear and supported by the fact that the Qur'an both offers you clear statements and evidences and teaches you through signs and indications. I understand from the masterly signs and indications of the Qur'an's miraculousness in the stories of the prophets and their miracles that it is encouraging mankind to attain similar achievements. Note, if you are in doubt concerning what the author discovered about the subtleties of the Qur'an's composition, I can tell you that we consulted Ibn Farid's book of poetry, opening it at random, and these lines came up, as though the recording angels had alighted on his heart, inspiring it with what is on the page. Signed, his student and scribe Habib. It is as though with these stories, the Qur'an is pointing the finger at the main lines and final results in the future of mankind's efforts to progress, for the future is built on the foundations of the past, while the past is the mirror of the future. And it is as though the Qur'an is slapping humanity on the back, urging and encouraging man, saying, Exert yourselves to the utmost and discover the meanings to achieve some of these wonders. You surely know that it was the hand of miracles that first gave mankind the clock and the ship. If you wish, consider now the verses. And he taught Adam all of the names. We bestowed grace aforetime on David from ourselves. O you mountains, sing back the praises of Allah with him, and you birds also. And unto Solomon we made subservient the wind. Its morning course covered the distance of a month's journey, and its evening course a month's journey. And we caused a fountain of molten copper to flow at his behest. Strike the rock with thy staff, whereupon 12 springs gushed forth. And you healed those born blind, and the lepers by my leave. Now dwell on what combined human thought has produced and the thousands of rational sciences it has deduced. Each of them is related to one of the species realms of being in the universe, so that mankind has come to manifest, and he taught Adam all of the names. Now ponder over the railway and telegraph and other wonders of art deduced by human thought, and by means of smelting iron and forging copper, so that men came to manifest. And we softened iron for him, and this became the basis of his industries. Think also about the aeroplanes that human minds incubated and hatched which travel a month's journey in a day, so that humankind would come to manifest. Its morning course covered the distance of a month's journey, and its evening course a month's journey. And reflect on the progress achieved in tools invented through human enterprise, steps to strike arid deserts, causing copies, springs to gush forth, and transforming the sandy wastes into gardens, so that man is on the point of manifesting. Strike the rock with thy staff. Now ponder over the wonders of medicine yielded by man's experiments that are beginning to heal those born blind, and the lepers, and the chronically sick. By Allah's leave, you will see that between the above verses and the future scientific discoveries is a full correspondence, and you will be right to say that those miracles are the criteria and measure of those future discoveries, and that the miracles point to them and urge mankind to work to achieve them. Similarly, consider such verses as, "We said, O fire, be cool, and a means of safety for Abraham. Had he not seen an evidence of his Lord? That is, according to one narration, had he not had a vision of Jacob biting his finger? I do indeed send the presence of Joseph. O you mountains, sing ye, make the praises of Allah with him. O you people, we have been taught the speech of birds. I will bring it to you within the twinkling of an eye." Now consider mankind's discovery of the degree of heat that does not burn and non-inflammable materials, and the invention of means of attracting images and sounds from far off and bringing them to you before you can blink your eye, and speaking machines such as the radio, and the employment of some species of birds like the pigeon, and so on. You may see the agreements and congruity between these two sorts of wonders, and may rightly say that the verses signify and allude to the future discoveries. Similarly, reflect on the particular attribute of the supreme miracle, the Qur'an, articulate speech and thought, the peculiarity of humanity and literature and eloquence. Now think about the highest means of training the human spirit, and the subtlest means of purifying the conscience, and the finest way of adorning human thought, and the best at expanding the heart. This is none other than a sort of literature. For some unknown reason, this literature is the most extensive of sciences, it has the widest scope, is the most penetrating and effective, and the closest to the human heart. Indeed, it is the sultan of the sciences. Think over this carefully. Like the previous verses, these verses have three aspects related to their positioning and composition. The positioning of the first verse in relation to the preceding one has four aspects. The first, when the Qur'an explains the wisdom in man's vice-currency in the previous verse, it is the first part of the answer and is more general, addressing everyone, and the easiest and most convincing and the most brief and concise. Then, with this verse, it gives an explanatory, detailed answer satisfying to both ordinary people and the elite. The second, having made an explicit statement about man's vice-currency in the previous verse, with this one, it proves the question with the miracle of mankind in the face of the angels. The third, the previous verse having indicated mankind's superiority over the angels, this verse alludes to the cause of its superiority. The fourth, having hinted with this previous verse at humankind's receiving the supreme vice-currency of the earth, with this one it elusively advances arguments to support it. For by virtue of the diversity of man's abilities and the multiplicity of ways in which he can utilize things, and the many sides to his knowledge, and his encompassing the universe with his five senses, external and inner, and especially with his boundless conscience, he is a comprehensive copy of the world and locus of all the manifestations of the divine names. You can see that, contrary to the angels, he can relish the taste of things like honey in 2 ways or even more. So ponder over this. The positioning of the verses, phrases in naturally smooth and fluent to the utmost degree. The first phrase, and he taught Adam the names of all things, verifies the meaning of the last phrase of the previous verse. I know what you know not, and elaborates what it states summarily and expounds its obscurities. Moreover, the function of the Most High's vicegerent on the earth is to execute his ordinances and apply his laws, and this is dependent on full knowledge. So too, the thread and drift of the previous verse implies these unstated words. So he created him and ordered his being, and breathed his spirit into him, and raised him. Then he taught him the names and prepared him for the vicegerency. Then, since the Most High had chosen Adam over and above the angels and distinguished him by conferring on him knowledge of the names, and had made clear in this question of his superiority, his worthiness of the vicegerency, the context being one of challenge, he presented the things to the angels seeking their objections. So, perceiving their impotence, they affirmed the Most High's wisdom and were assured. For this reason, the Qur'an says, Then he presented them to the angels and said, Declare unto me the names of the things, if what you say is true. They said, that is, they declared themselves innocent of what, in his egotism, Iblis had insinuated into their questioning, saying, Limitless are you in your glory. No knowledge have we save that which you have taught us. Verily, you alone are all-knowing, truly wise. Then, once their impotence, arising from their lack of comprehensive abilities, had become clear, the context necessitated a statement of Adam's competence in order to complete the challenge. So it says, O Adam, convey unto them the names of these things. Then, when the underlying reason and wisdom had become exemplified and apparent in Adam, the context necessitated the former concise reply, making it a sort of consequence of the detailed explanation here. So the Qur'an says, Did I not say unto you, Verily, I alone know the hidden reality of the heavens and the earth, and know all that you bring into the open, and all that you would conceal. This use of conversation divulges and intimates that Iblis's egotism has spread among the angels, and that the objections of one group of devils intervened in their questioning. The positioning of the parts of the phrases. The phrase, and he taught Adam the names of all things, that is, the Most High fashioned Adam with a nature in which were contained the fundamental principles of all types of attainment and perfection, and he created him with a disposition in which were planted the seeds of all elevated qualities, and he decked him out with 10 senses and a conscience that would hold the similitudes of all beings. He prepared him by giving him these 3 faculties that he might teach him the realities of things in all their variety. Then he taught him all the names. The conjunction "and" implies the above phrases rolled up beneath the conciseness. He taught elusively praises knowledge and indicates its high degree, and that it is the pivot of the vicegerency. It is a sign too that the names of things are made known by Allah. This is corroborated by the relationships mostly obtaining between names and the things they signify. It suggests too that miracles are an act of Allah without intermediary, contrarily to the claim of the philosophers that wonders are the acts of wondrous spirits. Adam, that is, the earthling whose vicegerency was willed by Allah the Most High, and who was given the name of Adam by him. The specific mention of the name is to applaud and proclaim it, and to associate it with him. The names, the attributes, characteristics, and appellations that signify things or the languages or words and terms that the sons of Adam use. Also, as indicated by presented them, it suggests that the names are identical to what they signify, as is claimed by the Sunnis. All of them is a clear statement of the source of Adam's distinction and of the miracle of the names. That is, while man may acquire complete knowledge of the names, the angels' knowledge is partial. The phrases, then he presented them to the angels and said, "Declare unto me the names of these things, if what you say is true." Then, by reason of the interval indicated here, and as necessitated by the context, this implies the unstated words. And Allah said, "He is nobler than you, and more worthy of the vicegerency." He presented them, that is, as though offered for sale. He set out for their inspection things of all sorts, as though presenting wares to customers or parading the ranks before the commander. In this is an indication that for intelligent beings things are goods they may buy through knowledge and take possession of through naming them and appropriate through representing their forms. The pronominal suffix whom, them, is used for masculine rational beings, so expounds the two things that render beings superior to others, that is, masculinity and reason, and the trope hinted at by the word he presented. For one imagines from Allah dispatching the varieties of beings which parade rank upon rank for inspection, that they are regiments of masculine intelligent beings advancing towards the angels. 2. Allah hints that what is presented to the angels are the forms of things inscribed on the sublime tablet. Glory be unto you, we have no knowledge save that which you have taught us. Indeed, you are all-knowing, all-wise. And the close of their cry will be, "All praise be to Allah, the Lord and Sustainer of all the worlds." In a manner entirely outside my view, this verse occurred to me when I came to the end of most of the words and letters. Now I realize that this commentary was concluded with the same verse, and that all the words are a sort of true commentary on it, and a sparkling stream issuing from its ocean, and at their conclusions pour back into it. It is as though all the words gush forth and began from the verse here at the end of its commentary. Hence, ever since that time when the commentary was written, I have been unable to finish expounding the verse that I might begin its second volume. Said Nursi.